So great to meet all of you. I'm Chris Schreiber. I'm the CMO for Brandcast. Just talk a little bit about who we are and then get into my presentation. So we are originally funded by Mark Benioff, chairman of Salesforce. The vision for the company is kind of similar to what Salesforce did. The way Salesforce unlocked all this value by bringing CRM into the cloud, making it fully browser-based. We have a similar vision, but really for digital experiences and content. Right, so we are a platform to create fully customizable websites and content for marketing and sales teams, but completely code-free. So we bring coding and development needs out of the equation, but give really full design freedom, so it can create really rich visual experiences. So my talk today, I'm going to try to spend about a third of it talking through sort of just trends that we see in the space relevant for marketing and sales teams, move into some of the evolution of the landscape, particularly with websites, and then finish off with a few customer stories. That sounds good. So as we all know, the buyer journey is changing and it's being driven much more by digital content than ever before. All right, so just a little study from Forrester, just looking at B2B buyer preferences. Over 2/3 say, I really look to digital content as kind of my main influence for my buying decisions. Right, it's going to help me sort of make the decision more than any other channel. And almost 2/3 saying, and I would actually really prefer not to interact with the salesperson at all. Right, so all of a sudden the thing's really starting to shift over to marketers' shoulders, to our content really driving purchase decisions, B2B and obviously for B2C. So we're all, in charge of our respective sales funnels, right? Trying to drive people into it, try to drive people down, whether you're B2B, B2C, sort of some version of this you're thinking about. And the reality of the day is you need to have corresponding digital content for every single one of these pieces, every single one of these stages, to catch people where they are, what they're interested in. And it's not just digital content anymore, it's really web content. Right? So just for the amount of production that marketing teams have to do now is unprecedented to what we had to do before. We were really managing scale and managing sort of a level of content that we never had before. And I want to just sort of talk through a little bit of that reality through my talk today, talk about some of the means of production and some of the ways that teams are just sort of changing their approach. So as we all know, things are just updating in terms of the way marketing and sales teams work together, marketing revenue teams. That sort of older era of just bring things in the top of the funnel, just get me my leads, I'll take care of the rest. It's changing a lot, right? There's a lot more overlap now of marketing and sales teams working together, and particularly just finding those sweet spots on digital, right? Where opportunity comes from. And some of the sort of core aspects of that is really a content approach that really maps to the entire funnel, data that's coming in from that content that both teams can make use of, and then a workflow that allows you to actually put that data into action to get better results. And so as you think about that, that sort of eternal circle of content creation strategy, data analytics that come in, the next rev of that content that leads to more personalization for your sales teams and over again. That's really what sort of all of us on some level are heading towards if you're not already in it. And the results pour out. So this is just a study from Marketing Profs. Organizations that are showing tight alignment between marketing and sales departments are performing better, and it makes sense. Higher sales win rates, higher customer retention rates. That sort of conversion of these departments is really leading to better results. I think you sort of see that in a lot of different industries. So this sort of gets to one of the core components of my talk, is just where we are heading in terms of the scale of production of web content and bringing just everything we're making fully online. This is a projection, but also just the reality of things. An offline doc, or a downloadable doc, is essentially a dead document. So when I send it to you, that's it. I can't do anything more with it. You downloaded it, it's the PowerPoint I sent you, it's the PDF I sent you. If I sent you the wrong pricing quote, I'm kind of screwed. I'm just going to send you a new one. Hope you're looking at it. I'm not really sure if you are. And the other piece of it is, it sucks to read on your phone. Like all of you have tried to zoom in the PowerPoint. You're like, what is that? Where is the bullet points? I hate this thing. And you just throw it away. That's a big problem. If that was your moment, right? If that was your moment that the customer decided, like, okay, I'll see the pitch deck. I'm like walking my kids to school. You send me this PowerPoint. I can't get you open. You forget that you ever opened it. You might have lost the opportunity. So there's just kind of myriad reasons that you want to move 100% online with sort of every stage of your content, marketing, communication. The other reason is just insight, right? You don't get analytics and data for the most part on downloadable documents, right? It goes sort of in this black hole, sort of just hope it's working. Right? We're sort of used to, we're very all pretty sophisticated now probably with your corporate sites, with sort of main marketing beachheads. You have web analytics set up, you have a sense of like what's getting clicked on and what's not, and we take all that sophistication and throw it out the window with our sales decks, which are so crucial to whether we're going to actually get the result that we want. And there's a lot of sort of steps that the industry is taking in terms of our research reports, our sales decks getting sort of webified, but we're not quite there yet. So that means a lot of times, more than half of your potential customer insight and data is just not coming to you yet. So in a world where we're trying to webify everything and marketers are now trying to put even more on their plates, there's sort of a few themes that we all have to kind of internalize. And it's not that we have to do just one of these, it's that we have to do all of these at the same time. You have to increase speed, increase the speed of production of content, increase scale, probably exponentially year over year, and do that all without sacrificing design. Right? It really is not good enough to do any one of these or any two of these. You will fall down if you're only investing in a couple. So just walk through some of the data on that one. So we're already operating in a world scale. If any of you are working in digital marketing, you're already amazed at how many things are under your purview, how many URLs, how many pieces of content. There's a quick study from Forrester from a few years ago. Larger enterprises are already on average operating over 250 websites. Right? That was not necessarily like the world we had envisioned 10 years ago, but we are there, and that's only going to go up as we try to just get more data, make communication easier, more seamless. Speed. So even if you were successful in getting hundreds of sites or landing pages up, that content has to be delivered really quickly. Right? You are now responsible for infrastructure in a really crucial way, because if it's not, the page load is not where it needs to be, you're going to lose almost half of your potential audience. Right? There's a study from Google. I worked at Google for a number of years. Speed is everything, particularly on mobile. So you're operating at scale. You have to make sure the infrastructure is there to deliver at speed, but you can't skimp on design. Right? Even if you did well on the scale and the speed part, your user experience needs to work, particularly on mobile. So there's another study from Google showing over half of your customers are just going to bounce if they can't find what they're looking for quickly on your mobile site. Right? And usually that doesn't happen with the first version of the site. It's a lot of sort of testing and iteration. And if you think about that, you're not doing that across hundreds of sites. You just have to sort of reset the way you're thinking about the function of marketing, particularly if consumers are looking to your marketing to help make their buying decisions. So I just want to talk about sort of the evolution of the space. A little bit, I'm just going to transition to some of the tools that are out there. Just think about the evolution of websites. So we find it kind of simple. Just think about it on the XY axis. On the y-axis, so how customizable is this site? Can I make what I'm really trying to make, right? Or am I going to be limited in some way? Can I have the user experience that I want? Can I have the size of the site that I want? Can I have the visual experience I want? Or am I going to be limited? And who's the end user? Really, who owns this platform? Is it require coding, and therefore really it's the developer team that's going to own this platform? Or is it marketing owned, therefore sort of code-free? And that's how you can sort of think about a lot of the tools that are out there in terms of ways to make websites. So the workhorse of the industry for decades has been the CMS, right, the content management system, and it's taken a few different flavors of the years, but that's really what sort of most enterprises have entrusted their main website needs to. And it's good in terms of true customization, right? You can really create anything that you want. The tax is speed, right? So it seems like a linear workflow. Marketing and design teams kind of write the copy, make their mock-up in Photoshop, hand over to the developer, okay, we just want this. And then a lot of things get a little weird. And so the developer says, well, that's not really possible. They put it up on a staging server. They sort of quoted you, this would be live in 3 weeks, but then there was just this breakdown between that sort of creative team and that interactive coding team. And what seemed like a linear process a lot of times is very circular. I see a number of you nodding your heads who've gone through website creation processes. So you get to where you want to go. You're really not going to be shackled, but the tax is usually time. So, marketers just need to move faster. There needed to be a better way, even if it had to be a complementary way, sort of the core CMS, and that's where the world of website builders came in, right? So, website builder, great. It's pre-configured templates. There's no coding involved. I can spin it up really quickly. It's sort of built for me. Now all of a sudden, I'm launching a lot of stuff faster than I was before, but I'm launching them all in these sort of cookie cutter ways because it's just templates where I'm dragging in boxes that have been pre-built, and I really can't break the template that much. And so even if you did everything right, you had really good copy, really good images, you just end up with the user experience. Usually I get a laugh at this slide, but I guess it's not going to work this one. Usually that user experience is hard to break out of to feel really, really customized. So you sort of have this trade-off now, all right, I can go down the very custom route, I can build what I want, but it's probably going to take longer, it's going to cost a lot. Or these website builders are here and I can move fast, my things are going to start to look very different from each other, and I'm going to be kind of limited. It's not really good enough, either way, I'm going to be frustrated. So we see just the next chapter of the industry, which is just sort of both of these quadrants moving sort of in the top right, and just new platforms coming up with the understanding that we have to be able to move fast. We have to operate at a huge amount of scale and expect even greater scale in the future. And we can't skimp on design. Design is going to make or break this whole thing. We have to empower the designers. So I just want to transition here and just talk about some stories of customers that are using us. So this is just a quick snapshot of our platform. You can see it's a very sort of drag and drop experience, very simple, but it's a fully custom site that you're building. So whatever it is that you want to build, your designer is really empowered to do that with the marketing team, and you can templatize anything you want so you can really produce that scale. So the first example is Icy Hot, so a brand under the Sanofi company. So they had a few different things on their mind. One, they just wanted to have a simpler workflow. So they had 6 different agencies they were working with. One did creative production, one did actually development, another agency did operations, and then they had their in-house team. So if you can imagine those sort of circular workflows that I was showing before, that's just for one in-house team, bringing in 3 agencies for 3 different steps. It was just really hard to get things out the door. It was also just hard for them to know where any project was at a given time. These things would sort of go in a black hole, and they would get quotes on when it might be ready, but transparency was just a problem. So they came to Brandcast, and they were really interested just in higher transparency, a single place to unify all these different players, but also just a better end user experience. So this is one example of their Icy Hot site. So what they wanted is just a more customer-centric experience. And so what they built is, instead of just saying, here's our products, this whole sort of interactive process where you can say, like, where is the pain? Let's just start with the thing you know, what is hurting, which then leads you to a series of symptoms and information about the thing you might be having, right? The symptoms may be this issue, which is a very sort of natural sequence to, well, if you're feeling these symptoms, this may actually be a relevant product for you to start thinking about, leads you to their product shelf, which then leads you, obviously, to many places you can buy it. So this experience was, for them, allowed to just put the customer at the center of it and see if it was working. If it wasn't, it's very easy to update. But then they took it one step further, took all this interaction and design they built and put it in the hands of their sales teams. So obviously, reps going out in Canada wanted to have more than just the PowerPoint, and so they created customized, essentially sales deck websites that were all password protected, but got a lot of mileage out of the design that they've done for these sites. Next one is Colliers. So this is a big commercial real estate company, doing everything right in terms of content marketing. They had really rich data. They knew a lot about their market, but the last part of it was just the delivery, which was the PDF. So these really interesting research reports, data that only they had about who's buying what and where is it, but the tax was you had to download it. And so they just wanted to get more data, more insight about what people were doing with this. And they did this across a global set of markets, so hundreds of offices that they're doing it. And so they took the same report, and you can see, turning it just to a custom website and really figure out a templatized way to do this with us so that all of these PDFs, research reports, are now custom URLs that can collect all this data about what people are clicking on, and they can use, corporate marketing team can take those insights about what performs and then take that across all of their regional offices so they can gain that same type of learnings. And now their content marketing is fully online, which also helps with SEO, discoverability, just general sort of accessibility of their content. And they do this in connection with their property listings, right? So you're learning about the market, starting getting sense, and that click you directly to things that they're selling. And this is an example, again, of sort of like consolidated workflow. You had a corporate marketing team with all these regional offices trying to help them like leverage their insights from their local market, but also just keep the brand on control. And that's something we help them with. So this is an example of scale. So work with this company, Shackley. They are a health and wellness retailer. And essentially the model is they have 7,000 individual distributors that sell Shackley products, health and wellness products. And they wanted to move things into the digital age. But this is a very unwieldy operation, right? 7,000 distributors, sort of independent sellers of all these products. Like, how are you going to manage that? And essentially what they did with us was create sort of 5 templated sites. So you could choose from any 5 if you want to stand up a selling operation with Shackley. All of your information was already in Salesforce, and they actually set up a custom integration with Salesforce, so you could all do all this from your Salesforce instance. and then to spin it up. And there's a few fields that you could have your own personal information in there, and now they've actually stood up 10,000 websites with us, and they go up and down really easily. There's actual single place to manage all of this. So it really helped bring their whole kind of Salesforce here into the web age, but also gave you a way to manage that brand, manage sort of the performance of these things. And the last one is Marriott. So Marriott had a pretty ambitious program. They wanted to have their top 200 performing websites redesigned and just see if they could really improve the performance of it. They scoped out the program to be 2 years from start to finish for these 200 sites. So you can imagine who's excited about that idea. Like, oh great, in 2 years we'll have new websites. I bet they'll be super modern in 2 years from the thing that we designed now. And so that didn't really work. And so they came to Brandcast to really like the front end of the experience of, we want to create these sort of interactive templates that our team can stand up really quickly instead of going through that whole sort of design to development to ops workflow. And really used our design studio just to really spin up reusable templates and then swap those out with the assets for the individual hotels. And what we did was just help them go from 2 years from this process to about 3 or 4 months. And really shaved up a huge amount of time, and that's because you're actually skipping that whole handoff the Photoshop file to the developer. The designers are actually creating interactive templates without writing code. And so just here's an example. So you can sort of imagine how this is pretty easy. You basically make your first user experience, your template exactly what you want. That's where a lot of the time goes in. And then it's just swapping out assets for that individual hotel. So that wraps up. I know we're actually all going to be going to lunch very soon, so I'm going to try to keep it light. Just sort of the main things that I wanted to talk about, though, and happy to answer any questions after this. We are all sort of grappling with this digital transformation of the buyer journey, right? Marketing content driving more buyer decisions than ever before. As a result, we are really increasing the means of production on our plates, and also trying to make that leap to 100% online. Right? To collect more data, make things more accessible, be able to start iterate quicker. As a result, you should just expect from the technology you're using, I need to be able to empower speed, scale, and design. I really can't cut corners on any three. That's it. Thanks. Happy to answer any questions. Yeah.
How do you, so you're developing a website, but how do you transition the look and feel and experience into mobile? Because that's a totally different.
Yeah, and I think the insight.
I'm sorry, but I just looked at a couple of the sites on the phone, and it's totally different.
Yeah.
It's the same assets, but different format.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of one of the big insights was that what works great on desktop may not work at all on mobile, and you don't need to have the exact same experience. So the way they set up the studio is you can really have complete control over each device view, and not just desktop and mobile, but tablet with, tablet portrait.
Right.
So you can inherit everything you want from any of those views, or you can completely change it out. You can hide it out. And that's sort of been the realization is that you just need freedom on the device views. You can't sort of be locked into one thing that only works on one device. Yeah, that's a good question. Any other questions? Yeah.
How does something like this work in conjunction with marketing automation system and some of the landing pages and other things we've set up and maybe tracking?
Yeah, it's really complementary. I mean, I think marketing automation tools, usually marketers just love that insight. Like, I just see everything they clicked on. I just want to give more things in the world for them to click on. So that piece works really nicely. You lay your tracking code on anything you want. All that insight's coming back to your MA platform. Landing pages can work either way. A lot of people come to us because the landing page builders in these platforms are not their strengths. So they'll build a sort of a richer landing page with us, and then they'll have their forms from MA platforms and data tracking layered on. So they work pretty nicely together. Yeah. So sorry for the lack of the condor. I didn't see that coming. But thanks a lot for your time. Hope you guys have a good day.
Thanks.